on your cue. Hey, what's going on, Rocco? I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Okay. Hello, and welcome to the Hope for Prison Tuesday Night Huddle Up. I am founder and CEO Jon Ponder, and I am so grateful that you have joined us here tonight for another awesome session of the Tuesday Night Huddle Up. And you guys are in for an encouraging, motivating, inspiring treat tonight. Want to say hello to everybody here in the room. Can you guys give yourselves a big, gigantic round of applause for joining us tonight? It is so good to see so many awesome, handsome faces. Want to say hello to everybody joining us inside Nevada Department of Corrections. Would you give them a big, gigantic round of applause? Also, we are streaming live into the Clark County Detention Center, Unit 2J, the City of Las Vegas Detention Center, and all our family and friends are watching on the Hope for Prisons Facebook page all around the world. Can you give them a big, gigantic round of applause as well? So good. So we're going to open up in the regular Hope for Prisons fashion. Tiffany, why are you not smiling in the back of the room back there? We want to open up for any testimonies you might have in this room, something that has God has done in your life, something you'd like to share with us to encourage us. If you're inside Nevada Department of Corrections, make sure you let Darby know. Slip up your hands. If you're watching Facebook Live, please drop it into the chat because Chad is monitoring the chat. So we'll open up right here in this room. Rocco, come on up front, man. Tell everybody your name. No, you do. Tell everybody your name. Look right there in the camera because you're going over the world. I'm making you famous right now.
Okay.
But don't take that and run with it. It's popcorn testimony.
I took a lot of shit and ran.
All right.
I wound up in jail.
All right. Tell us what it is.
How you doing? I'm Rocco. I don't know none of you guys, but it's nice to see you. I love all you guys. And I went to college back in 1987 in prison. I did 21 years. And I'm going back to college starting November 7th for a bachelor's degree in criminal justice at the University of Phoenix.
Oh, my goodness.
And everything
awesome.
got finished today, so I'm in.
Man, that's good, man. Give him a big, gigantic round of applause for that. 27 years going back to college. Open it up here in the room. Any testimonies, anything you'd like to share in this room? Come on up, man. Tell us your name. I see Khalil pointed you out, too. He sure did. Yeah. Tell us your name. Look right over to the camera, and what do you like to share with us?
Hello, my name is Will. I started in Hope for Prisoners about a month ago. I just got a job at Ahern as a quality tech. I'm making $22 an hour.
Woo! Give me a hand for that, man. That is awesome. Woo! $22 an hour. That's not bad. That is not bad. Inside the room, Casa Grande. Any testimonies of in Casa Grande? Going once? Going twice? Good. I want you to look at the person next to you. He did? All right. Come on, step up. Tell us your name and what is that testimony you like to share?
My name is Justin McSpirit, and I got a job today at S&S Diner.
Okay. Well, that's awesome, man. Give him a big hand for that. All right. That's awesome. I think. Well, good deal. I want you guys to, you want to check in? Well, if you get up here and start preaching, I'm going to bop you right upside the head with the microphone. All right, look right over there. I'll hold the mic.
Yeah.
All right? Tell us what it is you want to share.
My name is Wilson. I got a Casa Grande.
Were you in that room at one time?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Look back over the camera. You go look at him right now.
Yeah, I was in there. Grateful. Yep. Yeah, I'm doing really good. Look, I've been at the Paris Hotel. I've been enrolled. I've been employed since March. You know, I haven't missed a day. So you know,
there we go.
And you gotta do it for the Lord. Do all things to the glory of God.
That's right.
It get easier. I'm telling you, it's like, Lord, I'm doing this for you. You already know. I love you. Thank you.
There we go. Man, give Wilson a big hand, man. He said he's been there since March and he has not missed a day. Man, oh man, oh man. Look at the person next to you and say, get ready. No, you got to say it like you mean it. Say, get ready. Say, this is going to be good. Okay. He says, stay ready. You never got to get ready. Let's go before the Lord in prayer. Then I'm going to read tell you a little bit about Paul Thurman, and I'm going to let him loose on you. So, Father, we just come before you right now in the name of Jesus, Father. Thank you for being the God that you are. Thank you for being the God of second, third, and fourth chances, God. We thank you for this day and waking us up this morning with you in our mind and you in our heart, God, just giving us another breath of life to live for you. Father, we invite you into the midst of this huddle up, God, and invite you to huddle up with us, God. Father, we thank you for the encouraging words that are going to be shared in this room tonight. We ask you to anoint the lips of the speakers, God, so that as his words leave his lips, somewhere between the lips and the ears of the hearer, God, your anointing rests on those words so they will serve the intended purpose for which you sent them. God, we love you, we worship you, and pray this prayer in the matchless name of his son, Jesus Christ, and in Jesus' name we say amen. So listen, when you encourage me, man, I love to hear stories about people who did significant amount of time in prison, right, and been out years, 10 years, and just doing phenomenal. I met two guys up in northern Nevada today. That's where I'm just off the plane. I'm coming in hot. Met one guy who did 41 years inside Nevada Department of Corrections. He's been out 8 years. So you always love to hear these stories, because far too often do we hear the stories about the people who come out of prison, did 6, 7, 8 years in prison, right? Been out 6, 7 months, and all of a sudden something happens and they rob a bank or steal a car, and that hits the 6 o'clock news, right? But not too often do you hear the stories about the people done 10, 15, 20 years in prison. People have, been sober 10, 15, 20 years, right? Not only not going back, but today living levels of life that most people only dream of, right? So we have one of those people that's joining us here tonight, and that is Paul Thurman. Paul Thurman was raised in Arizona, and he was sentenced to the Arizona Department of Corrections as a juvenile at 13 years old for being incorrigible. He battled with addiction since the age of 17 and spent over 27 years in prison. Paul was introduced to recovery in 2013 and has been able to change his life and remain clean and sober for coming up this December 10 years. If you guys are, please put your hands together for Mr. Paul Thurman. Paul, welcome to the Huddle Up.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes. For your show.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations, man. 21 years, long time. First of all, I want to say thank you to Tiffany and to Jon for inviting me here tonight. Tiffany called me and she was telling me about this, and she was saying that this was going to be sent out to people that were incarcerated at the time. It was going to go to a number of different prisons, CC, DC, and she asked me if that was something I'd be interested in. And I was like, hell yes. That is absolutely something I would be interested in, because you guys are my people. You're my people. Jon touched on it a little bit. I'm from Phoenix. We all got horror stories. He told you mine, most of it. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. I got out of the Arizona Department of Corrections on October 1st of 2012, and I did what I always did. I remember sitting in R&D, which was receiving and discharge, and I remember sitting there and I was shackled and handcuffed with a belly chain. I had just finished doing a little over 13 years, and my niece was coming to pick me up. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do? I'd never had a cell phone in my life. I'd never been on the internet in my life. And I did not know how to live amongst normal people. I'd never done it in my life, and I didn't know how to do it. And when I got out, I did what I always did. My solution always started out looking like a bottle of Budweiser. And before you know it, a Budweiser leads to smoking some weed. Smoking weed leads to other things. And other things for me lead to committing felonies. Because that's what I do when I get high. I commit felonies and I go to prison. And I start it all over again. I went to prison when I was 23. Jon was saying something about it. I'm actually a bank robber. I'm not a very successful one, but I was a bank robber. You can't get away with shit when you go in there and you're high or drunk. Not only that, but you really don't care about getting caught. So I did that unsuccessfully. Got out. I did 6 years on that. I got out and turned right around and did it again in Florida. And this time I got caught again. This time they gave me 8 years. I got out and I went back again for 13 and a half. That time it was for aggravated assaults and for driving around in somebody else's car. All of that was just really, they were all just misunderstandings. You know what I'm saying? They were just misunderstandings. But I got out. I got out and I was doing what I always do. And, one day I found myself in a hotel room surrounded by people that were doing things I knew I shouldn't do. And I didn't want to go back to prison. I was on parole. My PO was looking for me. My niece had called her and told her I was a heroin addict. And I'm a manipulator. I was going to do whatever I needed to do not to go back to prison. So I checked myself into a treatment center. And in that treatment center, I went there for 24 days, but the first 7 of it was for detox. And after they let me out of detox, they took us to this meeting. It was called GIT, and it stood for Get It Together. And when I got to that place, I promise you, I was not looking for recovery. I was looking to not go back to prison. I had heard about AA. I didn't know anything about it. I had heard about a 12-step program. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that it couldn't work for me. There was no way. It just wouldn't work for me. But somehow I look back at it now, and I think that it was God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I didn't recognize it then, but I was able to open my ears and I was able to listen to the similarities in these people's stories because their story wasn't like mine. Their path to getting there was not like mine, but their alcoholism and their drug addiction sounded exactly like mine. And I'd spent my whole life in and out of prison, and I had never changed anything. And I continued the same old thing over and over and over again. And I remember them telling me, you are institutionalized. A guy like you can never make it. You will never make it. You'll spend your whole life in prison. My family believed it. Everybody believed it, that I was eventually going to go back to prison. I believed it. I just didn't think that I could make it. I didn't think that I could last in the free world amongst normal people. But I got to tell you something. I was wrong. I was wrong. And if you're sitting in a jail cell in CCDC, or if you're sitting in a jail cell in one of these Nevada prisons, don't believe the bullshit. Don't believe it, because you can make it. Anybody can make it. Just because somebody has a felony doesn't mean you can't get a job. You have to come out and you have to be willing to make some changes. That's what I had to be willing to do. I got into this program, and if you're not an alcoholic or an addict, I understand. This program, it can work for anybody. I honestly believe this thing can work for anybody. My problem is Paul. That's my problem. My problem is what goes on in here. This is my thinking is what's all twisted. I got into prison, and when I got there, I was 23 years old. I'd never weighed over 155 pounds in my life, and I decided that I was not going to be a victim. I wasn't going to be a victim. And from that moment on until I got out, I decided that I was going to be one of the guys. Let's just call it what it was. I turned into what you would call a bully. I was a bully in there because I was scared on the inside. And I did what I needed to do to get along, and I fit in there perfectly. But none of that stuff did me one single bit of good on the streets, out here in the free world. You have to be able to change everything. I got here and I got to that treatment center and I wound up in a sober living. It was called Carla Vista. And I would like to be able to tell you that I stayed sober, but I didn't. I relapsed on October 14th. They put me in a different sober living, and I lasted there about 2 days. Wound up on the streets again, got back into the treatment center, got back out, and went to Carla Vista. And I got a sponsor, started doing all the things they said I was supposed to do. And I really thought I was doing well. I thought I was doing well. And on Christmas Day of 2013, I got in my car and I drove over to my niece's house, surrounded by the people that love me the most. And on my way there, I took a left, got off the freeway, and was right back in the dope man's house. And before I knew it, I had a needle sticking out of my arm again. And I couldn't figure out why or how. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what happened? What happened? You know, and we talk about it, it's like, I don't have, you know, back in, I don't know, some of you guys might remember it, but back in the 80s, Nancy Reagan started this thing that said, just say no. Just say no. And if it was up to me to just say no, I'd have said no a long time ago. But I don't pick no. I don't pick no. And I don't pick no when I'm in prison. I don't pick no when I'm on the streets. I started doing heroin in prison. There's just as much dope in there as there is on the streets. You know, there's just as much in there. And my situation was I was going to do anything I could so that I didn't have to deal with being in there. And I was 40 years old when I got that prison sentence, and I thought my life was over. At 40 years old, getting a 15-year prison sentence, I thought I just gave up. And I get out and I find this recovery thing and I buy into it. And I had that relapse on Christmas Day. And I look back, I didn't know it then, but I look back at it now and I look back at it and I honestly believe that day God removed the obsession for me to drink or use. He just did. I think that, in my opinion, everybody has the same bottom. And for me, my bottom is that when I realized that Paul don't have the answers, that Paul don't pick no, that I need a power, we call it a power greater than myself. And I got a new sponsor and I started working these steps. And I worked them to the best of my ability. You know, and I went from 1 to 12. And when I reached 12, I was a different person. You know, and I really didn't realize it. I didn't see it. Everybody else around me saw it. You know, when I got out of what I like to call the gated community, when I got out of the gated community, I was covered in racial tattoos. You know, when I would walk down the street, I remember the day after I got out of prison, my niece took me to Arrowhead Mall to buy clothes. And we were walking down the breezeway, and I could literally walk and see the people in front of me moving around to go around me because of this look that you have on your face. You know, you get this look that's like, I don't know what you're thinking. Don't talk to me. Don't get near me. Don't touch me. I don't want anything to do with you. You know, it's just that look. And I had that look for so long that I didn't know any other look. That's what helped me survive everywhere I was at. That, and when somebody confronted me, I never backed up. I always moved forward. You know, you don't ever back up, you move forward. And that type of thing doesn't do you any good when you're out here amongst normal people. And I don't know, I mean, I started doing these steps and I went through the steps and I did them as honestly as I could. And I got into that sober living. And my life changed. My life changed. I stayed in that sober living for 14 months. And I moved out. I moved out and I had a job. I was living with a friend, had a house. And I was still on parole. And my boss, the guy that owned Carla Vista, came to me one day and goes, hey, look, we got this house in Las Vegas that we leased it for 2 years. And the guy we hired to run it never showed up. So we got a sober living in Las Vegas that's got people living in it. And we have no idea who they are and what's going on down there. And we want to know if you'd be willing to go to Las Vegas. And I told him, I'll be willing to go, but I can't. I'm on parole. I don't get off parole till February. And I went home and I spoke to my sponsor. And my sponsor and me went over it. And we hee-hawed back and forth with the owner. We finally came up with an agreement of what it would take. And on February 1st of 2013, I moved to Las Vegas. And I remember I'd never been here before in my life. I didn't know one single person here. I loaded everything I own up in a U-Haul. I put my car on a dolly, and I drove to Vegas. And you know, when you come to Vegas from Phoenix, you come through, back then you used to have to go through Boulder City. And you come through Boulder City and you come up over the hill. And as you come over the hill, it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I came over that hill and Las Vegas was lit up in front of me. And I remember thinking to myself, fuck yeah. You know, I'm here, man. This is what a city looks like. And I drove down and I went up to that sober living, and I had to knock on the door to get in. The guys that were supposed to be living there weren't there. Guys that weren't supposed to be living there were there. And the next morning I got up and I got my phone out and I looked up the closest meeting place. And some of you guys might remember it. It was a place called Serenity Club. Serenity Club. It was like 4 blocks from my house. And I remember going down there and I walked into Serenity Club and I went to room number 3, which was, there was nobody in it. And I walked to the back of the room and I took a picture of it. And I looked at the picture and I said to myself, I'm going to make it here. I'm going to make it. And I had a sober living and I didn't have one single person in it. Not one. So I started going to treatment centers. I started telling everybody who I was, what kind of a sober living I had, what we ran there. And I did that for like 8 or 9 months. And it took me 9 or 10 months before I started getting residents in that sober living. And within a year, I had it full. And within a year and a half, I got another house. And we got a house in Summerlin. And I had 2 houses at that time. And my sobriety kept growing. And my fan base kept growing. And the people around me kept growing. And my sobriety kept growing. And God was doing for me what I could not do for myself. You know, God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. And when I got here, you could not tell me that. You say, God had never done nothing for me. You know, like all my foxhole prayers. When I look back at my life, maybe God had done something for me. Maybe the positions God had put me in had saved me from killing somebody, saved somebody from killing me. I drove drunk hundreds of times. I did a lot of crazy things when I was out there. And I never hurt anybody. I never hurt anybody and I never killed anybody. But when you're a guy like me and you commit felonies, the prison sentences get longer. They don't get shorter. You know? So I paid for what I did. And I get to Vegas and I do all these things. And I can tell you that today my life, if you'd have told me on October 1st of 2012, when I was sitting in that cell in Florence, Arizona, waiting to get paroled, that in a little over 12 years that I'd be living in Las Vegas, that I would work at a treatment center, that I would manage sober living homes, that I would own a home of my own, I would have told you you'd lost your mind. You'd lost your mind. There was no way something like that could happen for a guy like me. And I'm here to tell you, for all of you men and women that are inside the jail system or inside the prison system, it's never too late. It's never too late. If you're not dead, it's never too late. But you have to make some changes. You know what I mean? You seriously, you know, you have to make some changes. You have to make some changes in your life. And what I can tell you is one of the changes in my life is I don't hang around with people that are doing stupid shit. I don't got no time for it. I don't hang around with people that are doing the wrong thing. I don't hang around with people that aren't trying to be like me. I mean, my whole life, I got some normie friends. Yeah, I got some. I don't got very many of them, but not because of that. It's just because I just don't. I'm surrounded by recovery, surrounded. You know, I go back to Phoenix. I can't wait to get back to Vegas. I hate it there. Too big, too many people, too much concrete. It's hot there too, hotter than here. I come back here and this is my home today. I love it in Las Vegas. You know, I've been trying John told me that he's going to help me out with this, and I hope that we're able to do it. I've been trying to be able to get it to where I can go into the prison systems so that I can get in there and talk to these men face to face, so I can sit down and let them know that it's not over. It's not over. If you want to change your life, you can, but it ain't easy. It ain't easy. I surround myself today with the people that are doing the right thing. You know what I mean? I used to think that the word humble was a weakness. You know what I mean? I'm thinking the guy said, you that guy's humble. What? That means I'm soft. Guess what? I am soft. I am soft. I would rather be kind to somebody than try to take advantage of them. You know what I mean? That's what it means to be a productive person in society. I wasn't that guy 12 years ago. I wasn't. I was not that guy. You know, and through this process, my life has changed. You know, it's changed. There ain't no fronts, but God willing, on December 26th, I'll celebrate 10 years of sobriety. Bro, I couldn't stay sober for 2 weeks from the time I was 17. I never started drinking or using until I was 17. I spent my whole teenage years in the Arizona Department of Correction for kids, for young adults. I never even saw drugs in there. All we did was fight in there. That was it. We were kids. We fist fought. We didn't stab each other. We didn't do any of that. That's the new wave stuff. When you got in a fight, when you had a problem, you got in fist fights. Nowadays, that ain't what's happening. Nowadays, somebody might shoot you and kill you. I'd just as soon have the life that I want today. You know, and I know that I'm one shot, one drink away from throwing my whole life away. Throwing my whole life away. Because everything will disappear. Everything that I've worked so hard to get in my life will disappear overnight. Because it's like I said, I don't do just one. I don't do just one. When I start, I don't stop. I might convince myself that I'm just not going to do it on the weekends, or I'm only going to drink on the weekends, or I'm not going to do it at work, or I'm not going to steal from your mother, or I'm not going to steal from my mother. I'm not going to do that. But I step over that shit like it's not even there. That's how my addictions work. And it always starts with alcohol. Always. I had 5 DWIs by the time I was 23 years old. So when I was introduced to drugs, I gave up alcohol and went to that. But make no mistake about it. Whatever you got, I want it. It doesn't matter what it is. So I don't know how long I'm supposed to talk, but that's probably enough out of me. Again, thank you for having me. I appreciate it very, very much.
That's Paul Thurman. Please give it up for Paul. Good job. Paul, don't go too far because we're going to open up for some Q&A. But before we do that, just by show of hands, right? How many people have struggled with drugs and or alcohol? Right? So hands up, right? And Casa Grande, yeah, beautiful. Listen. And so have I. Put my hands up. I've been cleaning sober, not for looking for applause. I've been cleaning sober 17 and a half years, right? Not looking for applause, but he said he's celebrating coming up on 10 years. Now listen, we're family here, right? Everybody's on the same team. Now listen, for those of you who might be sports fans, right? Just imagine Raiders fans, Lakers fans, whatever the case be, right? And it's 2 minutes left on the clock, and somebody hit the game-winning shot, or somebody kicked the game-winning field goal. You know how you like sitting on pins and needles, and then all of a sudden the clock is ticking and kick the field goal, and we won by 3 points, right? Everybody who's a fan would lose their mind. They would jump up screaming, and are you following me? right? Because this is my team, right? And we just won. This man stood up in this room just now and said he's coming up on a 10-piece McNugget clean, and we just clapped our hands like that. Can we get up on our feet and celebrate this? It is 10 years. We're winning. Man, we winning. Does that make sense? Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Okay, so now we're going to open up for questions, comments. Something that Paul dropped in this room that has encouraged you, right? Something you like for them to expound on. We're going to open it up to you in this room. We open it up to you in Casa Grande. For those in the other detention centers, or if you're on Facebook Live and it was something that Mr. Thurman dropped in this room that resonated with you, we want you to drop that into the chat. So I'm going to open up right here first to inside the room. Something that I'm going to make my way. Remember old school Geraldo Rivera? That's me right now. I need you to stand up and you're going to look into the camera. Although you're talking to Paul, you're going to look into the camera.
Sorry, brother. Give you my back. How you doing? So I just want to relate to something Paul said about he's surrounded by recovery people.
That's right.
And in my experience here, I'm here since 2016 with John and them.
That's right.
His older brother is my mentor, DP, right?
Right.
And one thing he gave to me from the very beginning is you got to stay plugged in.
Right.
And every time I stepped away from this thing, I violated 6 months, smoking weed, all the crazy shit, you know what I mean? Every time I stayed plugged in, which I'm trying to get back to doing right now, straight and narrow, everything good in my life, you know, love all around me, recovery all around me.
That's right.
And you guys are my family. When I come in here, I might not know you because I'm just coming back. You guys are just coming here.
Yeah.
But I love you guys. Anything I can do to help, I'm here for you because trust me, I need a lot of help and I'm going to ask. And that's it.
That's good. Give me a high five for that. So Paul, listen what it was he just said, because we have this saying that, you know, around here, we want to surround ourselves with people that are getting the results we want to get out of life. And Rocco, I think that when he said that, I'm surrounded by recovery, right? That resonated with me. So exactly what does that mean? In the practice, you're surrounded by recovery. Let's talk about that for a minute.
So when I say that I'm surrounded by recovery, pretty much everything that I do has something to do with recovery. So I manage the sober living homes. I work in a treatment center. And not only that, but I still continuously go to meetings. I have service commitments. I do H&I panels, which is pretty much what this is. And all my friends are in recovery. If it's not my family, pretty much everybody I know is in recovery. I have 3 nieces. Well, actually, I have 2 now. One passed away. But I have 2 nieces that weren't involved in my life, period. And one of them lives in Huntsville, Alabama. And I hadn't talked to her in almost 20 years. And for the last 4 years, I've gone to visit her twice a year, every year. When she lived in Washington, now she lives in Alabama. I travel to go see her. And my family wants me around. But I promise you, listen, I will promise you this, that my alcoholism and drug addiction was so bad for so long that I've been sober a little while. But if somebody called my family up tomorrow and said, hey, Paul's getting high again, my family would probably go, well, we figured it was just a matter of time. You know, they love me. They trust me. All these things. But this thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful.
That's right.
And patient. And it'll get me if I don't stay involved in what I'm doing right now.
Man, that is so good. Give him a hand for that. That is so good. And Paul, you know, sometimes I always, you said you surround yourself with people that are in recovery. Ashley, we're going to get you in a second. Surround yourself with people who are in recovery, right? And sometimes when people step back out, they'll come to me. I'm grateful that they do, right? And we do what we got to do to dust people up and put them back in the game. But before they walk out the room, I always say to them, now think back to that time where you drank something, smoked something, shot something, right? I always say, who was in the world around you when that happened, right? Who was right there with you, right? Because I don't have one person in my life, and everybody knows that, you know, I'm 17 and a half years clean sober. I don't have one person in my life that would allow me to even do that. Are you following what I'm saying? I think that the people that I'm in recovery, the people that's in my life, I'm surrounding myself with people get the results I want to get in life, they would slap me upside my head. And those, right? And those are the people that you need. So we're gonna open it up. So Ashley, I think I saw you over there, Ashley. Wait, did you sit back down, Ash? Where you at, Ashley? There she is. Ashley, step up, tell us your name and what is that question and comment that you might have for Mr. Thurman?
My name's Ashley, and we saw him maybe a few weeks ago at Hope, and he told us really good. You told us really good story about your bank robbery days and lying, and so I would really love it if you told that story.
Well, it's a lie. Why would I tell that? So whenever I share, Khalil was trying to get me to do it tonight too. So when I was in prison, I told this story for so long that I believed it myself. You know, I believed it myself, and so what I told was that I robbed the first bank I ever robbed. I was drunk. So I went in and I wrote a note and I walked in and I couldn't rob it. I turned around and left. And I waited a little while and I went back in and with a note and I didn't have the nerve to rob it again. So I left. And the third time I went in, I went home and I drank a 12-pack of beer. And this time when I went in, I robbed the bank. And when I came out, I had noticed while I was in there that the merchant tellers were the ones that had all the money. So I went out and I bought a suit and I bought a hat and I bought a briefcase and I started going into banks and robbing the merchant tellers. And in the next 3 months, I robbed 18 banks. And when I robbed these 18 banks, they started writing these little notes in the newspaper about me, how the cops had talked to the tellers, and the tellers were telling them that I was such a nice guy that they didn't want to do it. You know, they started calling me the gentleman bandit. And they put this thing in the paper about me being the gentleman bandit. And then I would tell them, well, remember in the beginning when I told you that I'm a liar? Well, none of that shit's true. You know, none of that shit I just told you is true. I got busted for the first bank I ever robbed. It took them 72 hours. The FBI put my picture on TV, which they did. And 50 of my close personal friends told on me. And that's true. So that's what she's talking about.
Give my hand for that. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to open it up. Any questions or comments right here in the room over at Casa Grande? What was that nugget that Paul Thurman has shared with you that has encouraged you? We're at Casa Grande. All right. We go back over to Nevada Department of Corrections. Please step up. Tell us your name. And what is that question and comment that you might have for Mr. Thurman?
How you doing, Mr. Thurman? I'm Mike Ravenscroft. My addiction happens to be, or at one point in time, was stealing motorcycles. Love to ride. That's kind of irrelevant. I was in CCDC at one point in time, and in order to avoid going to prison, kind of claimed the whole crackhead thing, and it gave me a chance at going to Crossroads. I don't know if you remember me. That was about 15 months ago, and I remember you called me in after I came in from Vegas Stronger, and I didn't really have any kind of expectations on coming here tonight. And then I happened to see you, and you sat me down at your desk, and I was on. You asked me to see my cell phone and so forth. Anyway, that led for me getting kicked out of Crossroads. Had a little bit of bitter anger towards you. But I guess this kind of ties into what you were talking about and addictions and just changing your life in general. So had not that been kind of that bump in the road and taking my little trip up to the desert, I don't know if I'd be where I'm at right now. Actually, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at right now. For the better nonetheless. So I guess I just want to reach out and just let you know that I don't know if it's a coincidence of being here right now and running into you or what that means, but you know, just keep doing what you're doing, and I just never know where life will bring you. So nonetheless, that's kind of all I want to say.
I
And,
do remember.
But anyway,
Hey, I do remember you. You can't
that
hear
was
me?
unplugged.
Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, so I do remember you, and I do remember our conversation, and I do know that you look a lot better now than you did then. And what I hope for you is that when you get out of there, that you realize that you are a young man. You have your whole life ahead of you. You are in the perfect position to make some changes in your life. Do what's good for you and surround yourself with the people that are doing the right thing. You're a drug addict just like me. So why would you not? I mean, I'm just saying, bro, why? It's true. So why would you not get involved in something that's going to save your life if you can? Instead of going back to Casa Grande or High Desert, maybe it's High Desert the next time. Keep stealing motorcycle, that's what'll happen. All
Stay
right.
up.
Step up, tell us your name. What is that question and comment you might have for Dr. Thurman?
I know
Paul,
who
I
this
just wanna say
is.
I want to say thank you for helping me get into sober living. And I got a job to pay for the upcoming weeks or a month today.
It's no problem, Justin. I'll continue to talk to your case manager and we'll get everything worked out, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Good deal. Give him a hand for that, man. This is so good. That is so good. You know, we do recover. We questions the comment. We got about 8 minutes left. So we respect everybody's time. We're going to make our way back over to this side of the room. Please stand up. Tell us your name and what is that question and comment that you might want to look right over to the camera.
Hello, my name is David. I'm here part of the mentor program. I'm a mentor. This is my first time here. So this is my mentee right here, Quinzel. I just wanted to say congratulations and I appreciate everything you're saying. I do have a question, but I just want to give a little, boast about my God, man. I've been sober for 6 years. I've been out of prison for 6 years. I've been off parole for about 1.5 years, but I just got married, right? I moved into a beautiful home, but all that was only possible with the God that I serve, right? With God. I tried many things, but it was only when I gave it to God. And also I understood that I had to do the work myself also, right? And there's people in the county listen. So, I just want to encourage you guys, man. Don't ever give up on yourself, no matter who gives up on you. Don't ever give up on yourself because where I'm at, where Mr. Ponder's at, sobriety, different things in our life, victories in our life is possible when you don't give up. I want to encourage you, like they're saying, surround yourself with the right people, but cut off the people that you need to cut off. That's right. And be honest with yourself, man. But I have a question for Mr. Paul here. Yeah. You spoke about the going into the prisons, and that's something that I wanted to do as well. That's how I got into this program. Yeah. So maybe if there's any information you could give me, maybe we can connect after. If you can lead me in the right direction, I would love to partner with you or get some kind of information.
Okay, absolutely. So we were talking about that with the different doors that are opening up. Joe, did you have something? With the different doors that are opening up that, the people that have been there and done that, we're the subject matter experts. So we're connecting the dots so people will be able to come back in so we can set some captives free. We're going to make our way to the back of the room over here. Big Joe.
So I just wanted to take this opportunity, since I have two of you together. I'm here and I am one of our workforce development specialists here. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these two gentlemen. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. 2 years ago, I was working here, or a little over 2 years ago, probably, I was working here and I was drinking. John had to let me go. And I sat before him and cried and just said, I'll do what I need to do. About a year ago, I was staying at Paul's Sober Living. He was my sponsor. and I parked a car in one of his neighbor's yards or something like that. Because
And left it running for 4 hours.
allegedly, in case. But anyway, as I got out of CCDC, had nowhere to go, didn't know what I was going to do. They told me Jon Ponder is waiting for you. I didn't know anything. So they brought me here, and then I ended up going to rehab. I reached out to Paul, and Paul was like, do everything they tell you to do and we'll be here. Yeah. And these two men have stood by me. And so all I'm saying is that, look, we're all products of being around people who have gone before us. And I'm thankful to stand on the shoulder of giants. And so I'm thankful for both of you. And I just wanted to say that. So.
Good deal, man. Let's keep going. Keep going. We got time for one more. And thank you for sharing that, Joe. Very proud of you, young man. We got time for one more. In here, Casa Grande, anybody on Facebook? On Zoom. Okay, let me get back here so we can read it. We're going to have Chad read it. Oh, she can go on. Okay. Yes, so caller, if you, whoever's on Zoom, if you step up, tell us your name and what is that question or comment that you might have for Mr. Thurman.
This is Christina Ennis. I'm one of the peer-to-peer mentors from the Hope for Prisoners program. I graduated the program myself in 2017 in February. And I love what you said about the very first thing that you did after you saw the lights in the city. You mentioned that you looked up the nearest place to go to a meeting, and then you went, right? And it didn't matter whether there was nobody there or not, you still went. And it didn't matter that nobody in the neighborhood knew who you were. You still continued to go around and introduce yourself to people and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And I want to make a change, right, in people's lives. And so another thing you said tonight was that if you're still alive, then you still have a chance, right?
Yes.
And I just, I think that's really powerful because some people don't have a chance. And so if you are, I just really think that was really powerful. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christina, thank you so much for sharing that. So Paul, listen, it's been an incredible night. We could have stood up here and talked for another 2 hours, right? I am so grateful for the work that God has done in your life. Very thankful that you have turned your life around. And I think that anytime you're able to share those stories, you know, the Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So the more and more that we're able to tell the stories of the victories that we have had, you know, that God has helped us through, when we turn around and share that with other people, I think that encourages them to be on the way. So when we crack that door open to get people like us back into Nevada Department of Corrections, we're there. So you can go in there and rub life up against life with those people. I will make sure that we'll be able to reach out, man, and keep doing what you're doing, man. Extremely proud of you, man. Can we give Paul another big, gigantic round of applause? My gosh, my gosh. Woo. We want to thank you guys for coming out to this week's Tuesday night Huddle Up. I want to say thank you to all those in Nevada Department of Corrections and the Clark County Detention Center, City of Las Vegas Detention Center. We see you. And we'll be back next Tuesday night with another awesome speaker. Can we just all say this at the same time? Because he is the picture perfect example of a comeback kid. So on the count of three, I want everybody to scream, comeback kid. Not yet. 1, 2, 3. Comeback kid. Give me some, man. Give him a hand, man.